Tallstar's Revenge, Chapter 3. Chapter 5. Let all cats old enough to hunt gather at Tall Rock. Blue sky framed Tallstar as she called from the top. Behind her, the distant moor rolled with wide and green, rippling with heather not quite in bloom. A soft breeze tugged at Tallkit's pelt as he sat on the rim of the meeting hollow. His clanmates swarmed around him, streaming down into the sandy dip. A warm new leaf had brought rich prey, and now, as green leaf set in, the clan wares were plump and sleek. Tallkit glanced at the tellers as they clustered at one end of the hollow. Woollytail's eyes were bright, and Hickory Nose paced impatiently around him, while Plumeclaw's tail tip flickered his excitement. Hawkheart and Reedfeather sat still at a stone at the foot of Tall Rock, while the moor runners filled the rest of the hollow. "Sit down and stop fidgeting," Tallrunner beckoned to Steechpaw with a flick of his tail. Tallpaw was already waiting with Aspenpaw and Raidpaw. The elders climbed stiffly into the hollow, Flamepelt leading the way. Whiteberry pressed close to Little Whisker as she dragged her leg behind her. Littlefoot followed. "This is the ceremony I've been looking forward to," he rasped. Tallkit's heart leaped like a rabbit inside his chest. Sandgrass stood beside him. "Are you ready?" "Yes." Tallkit glanced at Palebird. Her eyes, round which had been dull for so long, were bright and focused. She leaned forward and began lapping the fur on Tallkit's shoulders. "Want you to look your best," she purred. Brown fur flashed at the entrance to the medicine den as Ray Barkpaw hurried out. The young apprentice scrambled into the hollow and took his place beside Hawkheart. The medicine cat flashed her a reproachful look. Shoopot caught Tallkit. "Sorry, Hawkheart," heard Barkpaw's hushed apology. "I was sorting comfrey leaves." Shoopot caught Tallkit's eyes. He was standing beside his mentor, Hairflight. Tallkit could guess what he's thinking. "You're going to be Wormpaw now." Tallkit looked away. "I'll be an apprentice," he told himself. "It doesn't matter whether I'm a tunnler or a moor runner." Tallstar had leaped down from the tall rock and crossed the hollow. She stopped in the middle and surveyed her clan until her gaze rested on Tallkit. His pelt burned. "Tallkit," Tallstar called. Palebird nudged him forward. Paws slipping on the dry sand, Tallkit scrambled down into the hollow and stopped in front of Heatherstar. "It is rare that I give an apprentice named to only one cat." Heatherstar's eyes blew as bored into him. "Let us remember your little mate Finchkit." She glanced at Palebird. "One clan mourns the loss of one so young, but she's at peace, safe with StarClan." Tallkit wondered if his littermate was watching his ceremony. Would she be jealous that she never got a chance to have her apprentice name? Perhaps StarClan would grant her one. "Tallpot," Heatherstar's mew jerked his thoughts back. "I have thought long and hard about who should mentor you." Tallpaw heard rumors of excitement from the tunnelers. "She'll choose Woollytail surely," Plumeclaw's whisper hissed across the hollow. Heatherstar's gaze didn't waver. "I have chosen Dawnstripe." She turned her head toward the moor runners. "Come forward, Dawnstripe." Tallkit gripped the earth as the ground seemed to sway beneath him. "But I'm supposed to be a tunneler." He looked at Sandgrass sitting above the hollow, his father's eyes glittered with outrage. Tallpaw swallowed as Dawnstripe padded toward him. "I'm not going underground." He leaped water deep in his belly. "Heatherstar!" Woollytail's sharp mew cut across the hall. "You promised us a tunneler!" Paws thumped onto the earth behind Tallpaw. He spun around, heart lurching. Sandgrass had jumped into the clearing. "You've made a mistake, Heatherstar." Heatherstar shook her head. "No, I haven't, Sandgrass. But I'm a tunneler. Palebird's a windler. Palebird's a tunneler. We want Tallpaw to follow in our paw steps." Heatherstar dipped her head. "I know," she meowed quietly, "but I have watched Tallpaw. He doesn't have a tunneler's nature or physic." "That's not true," Sandgrass snapped. "Look at this tail. It's easily long enough to pull him out of a cave in." and he has strong paws and short fur to keep the sand out. Tallstar held Sandgross's gaze. He can run like the wind and leap like a hare. He chases an imaginary prey when he thinks no one's looking. Palebird jumped down beside her mate. He can chase real prey in the tunnels, she hissed. Tallstar didn't flinch. I have seen him when the wind's up. It gets into his fur, so he can't sit still. He needs to be above ground. He needs to be true to his nature. True to his nature, Woollytail spat. What kid doesn't run and jump? Hickory Nose snorted. In Leaf Bear, you said that tunnels were dangerous. Too dangerous. Now you say a kid likes the wind in his fur? What excuse will you use next time you give the moor runners an apprentice? Sandgross took a step closer to Tallstar, his pelt bristling. Tunneling is in his nature, he growled. How can it not be? His kin are tunnelers, stretching back for moons. Tallstar's tail twitched. If Tallpaw wants to train as a tunneler daily, he can. But I want him to train as a moor runner first. Tallpaw flinched as he saw Palebird's tail drop. She clambered out of the hollow and patted head down back to the nursery. Should I tell Tallstar I want to be a tunneling apprentice? Tallpaw looked desperately from the Wind Clan leader to his father. He's my son, Sandgross snarled. I'll decide his future. Tallstar stiffened. I decide the future of my warrior. She turned to Dawnstripe. Show your speed and courage with Tallpaw. Make him a warrior the whole of Wind Clan can be proud of. Tallpaw's heart thumped like rabbit paws on the hollow earth. Dawnstripe was one of Wind Clan's fastest runners and never backed down in a fight. He could learn so much from her. I will make Wind Clan proud. He fought to stop himself from trembling as Dawnstripe touched her muzzle to his head. He pricked his ears, listening for his clanmates' cheers. Paws shifted on the sand around him. Not one. No cat called his apprentice name. Nervously, Tallkit glanced round over his shoulder. Sandgross had turned his tail in the ceremony. The tunnelers stayed in silence. Tallpaw! Cloudrunner was the first to call his name. Half-Light joined in. Tallpaw! Tallpaw! Dawnstripe raised her voice above the others and led the chant, challenging the other moor runners to join with a glare. As more cats began to call his name, Dawnstripe nosed Tallkit towards Stagepaw and Doughpaw. Come on, she murmured. Greet your dead mates. Tallpaw! Tallpaw! Repaw pummeled the ground. Stagepaw's eyes shone as Tallpaw approached. Congratulations! Tallpaw felt right. Stagepaw never had spoken to him as an equal before. As the chanting died away, Repaw and Doughpaw clustered around him. The first time you see the moor is the best, Doughpaw told him breathlessly. You won't believe how big it is, Repaw fluffed out her gray fur. Barkpaw raced to Tallpaw's side. Congratulations, he mewed. Tallpaw blinked gratefully at his friend. He didn't know how to feel. He wanted to be a moor runner, but not if it made his mother and father so angry. You may think he'd been given an easier path, Tallpaw turned as a gruff mew sounded in his ear. Hawkheart was standing beside him. The gray-brown medicine cat narrowed his eyes. But it's a path that leads you away from your kin. Be careful not to lose your way. Tallpaw shook his head. I won't. I promise. Barkpaw fluffed out his chest. Of course he won't. Tallstar must be crazy, Shrewpaw barged past his brother. You should be underground, Wormkit. Tallpaw stiffened. I am not a kit or a worm. I'm going to be a moor runner, just like you. Lark Splash's tail's wickers twitched. It'll be good to have a new apprentice in the den, she glanced at Repaw, gaze warm. A certain litter isn't too good at being ready in time for dawn patrol. Aspenfall purred, weaving past Dawnstripe. I bet you're an early riser if you're anything like your father, said Sandgross. The pale ginger's tunneler sat with his back to the hollow. Tallpaw's heart twisted. He dipped his head to the moor runners crowding around him. Thank you, he mumbled. I must go speak with Sandgrass. He nosed his way past Dawnstripe and Stitchpaw and jumped out of the hollow. Following the rim, he headed for his father. Sandgrass. The tunneler's fur looked dull and patchy, worn thin by countless moons working underground. Tallpaw stopped in front of his father. Do you want me to tell Tallstar I'd rather be a tunneler? Sandgrass lifted his gaze. Is that what you want? Tallpaw swallowed. Sandgrass's gaze hardened. Is it? Tallpaw shifted his paws. No, he mewed quietly. Then don't, Sandgrass snapped. I'm sorry, Tallpaw mewed, but if Tallstar had made me a teller, I would have trained just as hard. I had such plans. Sandgrass's gaze drifted toward the nursery where Pale Bird was hiding. I know. Tallpaw tried to ignore the guilt pricking in his heart. You and me and Pale Bird were going to patrol together, but I promise, even though I'm trained to be a moor runner, I'll be the best warrior I can be. You were born to be a tunneler. Sandgrass flashed an angry glance at Tallstar as she sat head bowed beside Breezefeather in the hollow. You won't change that, no matter what other cats tell you. Lashing his tail, he marched away. Tallpaw watched him go, grief rising in his throat. I'm sorry, he whispered. Warm breath brushed his ear. Dawnstripe. Tallpaw recognized her scent. There's nothing you can do, she meowed. Leave him. He'll get used to it. Tallpaw looked up hopefully at her. Will he? Dawnstripe didn't answer. Instead, she nodded toward the camp entrance. Come on. I bet you're desperate to see what's outside. She bounded across the grass, clearing the tusks rocks easily. Tallpaw raced after her, zigzagging between them. He'd jump them one day soon, when his legs were stronger from training. As a moor runner, I'm going to be a moor runner. He stopped at the camp entrance and watched Dawnstripe's golden banded tail disappearing from the narrow gap in the heather and marked the entrance in the camp. For the first time in his life, Tallpaw was going to see what lay beyond the heather walls. He pushed his way through the gap. Heather found switched over his pelt, and he half closed his eyes as I flicked his muzzle. As soon as he cleared the branches, the wind swept over his face. Opening his eyes wide, Tallpaw emerged from a patch of windswept grass and stared at the wide heath stretching out before him. Gray clouds massed on the horizon beyond a sea of wind-whisked heather. The moor rolled away on all sides, opening up behind the camp entrance and dropping below where they stood. Clumping grass sprouted here and there, yellowing against the green heather, clumping in thick swaths like patches in sunshine. Now that he was outside, Tallpaw could see the wind clamp was nestled in a natural hollow in its grassy clearing, hidden by thick leafy walls. What do you think? Muzzlehead Dawnstripe stood on a grassy hillock a few tail lengths away and looked down at him. It's huge, Tallpaw whispered. He dug his claws into the grass to steady himself against the buffeting wind. He felt an urge to charge into the heather and run as far as he could, but fear rooted his paws to the spot. What if he ran all the way out of the territory? What if he couldn't find his way back to camp? Look! Dawnstripe flicked her tail to the slope on the far side of the camp. Birds were swooping low to the heather and then lifting high into the sky before another dive. Lapwings, Dawnstripe explained. They're defending their young. There must be a weasel nearby. A weasel? Tallpaw blinked at her. He'd never seen one of those on the fresh kill pile. Were weasels dangerous? He glanced around nervously. Stay clear of them until you learn some moves, Dawnstripe instructed. They're fast and vicious, and their bites carry infection, and they taste dreadful, so we don't bother trying to catch one to eat. Shrewdpaw burst in from the tunnels and stared at Tallpaw, looking for rabbit holes to burrow in. Stitchpaw pushed past him. Stop blocking the entrance to the rabbit Stop blocking the entrance, rabbit brain. Shoepaw stumbled clear as Tallpaw and Hairflight, Raypaw, Aspenfall, Larksplash, and Cloudrunner streamed out behind him. Cloudrunner stopped beside Dawnstripe. Congratulations on getting an apprentice, he purred. Where are you taking him first? Siegepaw butted in before the golden tabby could answer. We're practicing battle moves. Cloudrunner glanced sternly at his apprentice. Once we've finished practicing, not interrupting. Sorry, Siegepaw dropped his gaze. A purr rumbled in Dawnstripe's throat. He's just excited to have a new den mate. He glanced at Tallpaw. You ready? Tallpaw nodded. Behind Dawnstripe, the moor swept down. Dense, dark green trees. Tallpaw could hear their leaves rustling from here. The trees grew so close he imagined it being as dark as the tunnel underneath. Is that where ThunderClan lives? He whispered. How could they see to catch the prey? That's right, Dawnstripe meowed. Don't worry, we're not going to pay them a visit. Larksplash paced the grass, her tortoiseshell and white pelt ruffled by the breeze. I'm taking Raypaw to the River Clan border to refresh the scent line. Shall we travel together? Dawnstripe nodded. She sprang down from the grassy hill, and disappeared into a gap in the heather. Tallpaw hurried after her. As he ducked between the thick branches, he noticed the grass underneath. Tallpaw was worn into a track of bare, brown earth. He smelled rapid. There was a scent, just still. Raypaw was trotting at his heels. Just wait till you get to Outlook Rock, she mewed. You can see the end of the world from here. Tallpaw followed the rabbit trail as it swerved through the heather. Dawnstripe's golden tail flashed in and out of sight, and Tallpaw quickened his pace, worried he told the others back. The trail widened until he could see Dawnstripe racing ahead. Clumps of black dirt littered the path like bunches of dark berries. Tallpaw hopped and jumped, trying to avoid stepping on the sheep dirt, Raypaw explained. Alarmed, pricked Tallpaw's pelt. What? There's sheep here? Sheep were huge. Then he'd see them, their white backs looming beyond the camp walls. He jerked his head back. Have you seen one up close? Of course, Raypaw now purred. They're harmless. You can walk under their bellies and they wouldn't notice. They just live to chew and make dirt. She bundled over a large clump of dirt berries. The ground began to slope as heather gave way to wind-splattered glass. Felt soft and deep beneath Tallpaw's pads. Ahead of Dawnstripe, the moor rolled onward, a giant green cat sleeping under the blue sky. Tallpaw tasted the air. Sheep dirt, rabbit, and heather swapped his tongue. Were there enemy scents hidden among that? Tallpaw closed his eyes for a moment to concentrate. Tallpaw, no! Well, that's the end of Tallstar's Revenge, Warriors Tallstar's Revenge, Chapter 5. I have been Muse number 23. I am sorry if this chapter hasn't been uploaded earlier. My sister had a party, and I decided to go do a little shopping. And I bought some things, 2 of which are for me, 1 of which is for Stella, or my sister. I will show you them in just a minute. I have to go do some chores, and then I will show you them. So next time, I've been Muse for 23. Comment, like, subscribe, bye, and Chapter 6 will be uploaded later.